Hello, my brush lads, lasses, and everyone in between. It has been way too long. To catch everyone up to speed, Andrew and I kind of fell behind on creating fresh and exciting content for the channel due to getting new jobs and other fun outside events. So we decided to take the month of October off and use it to build our library of content to start releasing in November. With that though, we were a little bit bummed that we weren't going to be able to release our spooky Halloween themed deck techs in October. So we're doing them now. Andrew will be covering vampires and spirits, while I cover zombies and werewolves. It may be November, but hey, we're still on Innistrad, so let's get on to the cards. For today's deck tech, we're going to be doing an old classic and a partial remake of one of my very first deck techs on the channel, and that is mono black zombies. We've had plenty of new support since the video first came out, and I've improved as a deck builder, I like to think. So today we're building Ebondeath, Dracolich. Ebondeath is a legendary 5/2 zombie dragon who casts for 2 black and who has flash and flying. He enters the battlefield tapped, can be cast from the graveyard if a creature not named Ebondeath died this turn, and that means that we can still cast him if he did die, but something else will have to have died with him in order to make him castable. Him dying does not negate his castability. Having flash also means that we can bring him in at the end of our opponent's turns, and being able to cast him from the grave means that we will rarely have to pay commander tax. A fun part about zombies is how much they want to die and how easy they are to return from the grave. Since Ebondeath wants other things to die, let's start by looking at creatures that either really want to die, result in easy deaths, or can just kill themselves and or other things. Diregraph Horde brings 2/2 Decayed zombie tokens when it enters the battlefield. Decayed is a new mechanic from Midnight Hunt and reads that a creature with Decayed cannot block, and if it attacks, it is sacrificed at the end of combat. That makes anything that we have that makes Decayed tokens an easy source of death to fuel Ebondeath. For example, Hobbling Zombie replaces itself with a 2/2 Decayed zombie when it dies, and Jadar makes us a 2/2 Decayed zombie on our end step if we control no creatures with Decayed. While not a creature, Crowded Crypt also serves as a source of Decayed tokens, itself being a mana rock that taps for black and gets corpse counters when things that we control die. We can then pay 4 black, tap, and sacrifice the Crypt to make a 2/2 Decayed zombie for each counter that it had. Fleshbag Marauder is a 3/1 zombie that makes every player sacrifice a creature when it comes into play. Ghoul-Caller Gisa can sacrifice creatures to make us 2/2 non-Decayed zombie tokens, equal to that creature's power. Liliana's Devotee can capitalize on deaths by making us a 2/2 zombie for 1 and a black on our end step if something else died that turn. Ravenous Rotbelly is a new card that lets us sacrifice up to 3 zombies when it enters the battlefield, and then forces our opponent to sacrifice the same amount of creatures, making the Rotbelly almost like a bigger fleshbag. Sidisi, Undead Vizier, can sacrifice a creature when she enters the battlefield and lets us search for any card in our deck to add to our hand if she does. Now, while we have lots of means of getting our creatures to die, we still need creatures to actually die. Luckily for us, zombies excel at creating 2/2 zombie tokens that we can use as fodder. Josu Vess makes 8 2/2s if we can kick him when we cast him. Overseer of the Damned make us 2/2 zombies whenever a non-token creature an opponent controls dies, in addition to killing something when he enters the battlefield. Tormod the Desecrator makes us 2/2 zombies whenever creatures leave our graveyard, which we'll cover that in a minute. And Vizier of the Scorpion makes a 1/1 zombie army when it enters the battlefield, or puts a +1/+1 counter on an existing army should we already have one, in addition to giving all of our zombie tokens Death Touch. Keeping on this train, creatures aren't our only source of zombie tokens. With an additional 2 and a black when cast, Draugr's Helm makes us a 2/2 zombie berserker with the helm attached to it. Zombie classics like Army of the Damned, Dark Salvation, Dread Summons, Moan of the Unhallowed, Siphon Flesh, Endless Ranks of the Dead, and Open the Graves also all serve as factories of mass token production over the course of the game, so long as we have the mana and resources to put into them. Okay, so we've covered zombies dying, and we've covered token generation. Let's move on to what we can do once we have this army of zombies. Zombies have no shortage of tribal lords, such as Cemetery Reaper, Death Baron, Lord of the Accursed, and the new Tomb Tyrant, as well as tribal anthems such as Liliana's Mastery. But we also have a suite of cards that cares about us having zombies rather than buffing them. These include things like the Gravespawn Sovereign, Crypt Breaker, Noxious Ghoul, Shepherd of Rot, and Undead Augur, who all make use of zombie generation or death in some form. Our last zombie category, before moving on to more basic good stuff, revolves around the final trait that zombies are famous for, and that's returning from the dead. Doomed Necromancer, Necromantic Selection, Zombie Apocalypse, and Diabolic Servitude are all good ways of getting our zombies directly to the battlefield from the grave, while slightly slower means, such as the new Gorex the Tomb Shell, Gravedigger, Soul of Innistrad, and Palace Siege, can get them back into our hands. So with our 4 basic categories covered, let's take a look at the rest of the deck. In our 99, we run 2.5 Planeswalkers, all unsurprisingly Liliana, with our primary Planeswalkers being Death's Majesty and Dreadhorde General. We'll get to the half in a minute. Our remaining creature suite includes powerful zombie mainstays such as Diagraph Colossus, who gets bigger based on how many zombies are in our grave, and who can actually make us more zombie tokens whenever we cast zombie spells, the notoriously hard to keep down Gravecrawler, everyone's favorite merchant Gary, and the Rotting Regisaur for cheap, massive bodies that fill the graves with each turn. We pack Relentless Dead, another hard to keep dead target, who also has a habit of bringing back friends whenever someone tries to kill it. Putrid Raptor as a fun gotcha morph, who also gives us free graveyard setup. Corlash for a regenerating threat who gets bigger and bigger based on our swamp count. The Flip Planeswalker in Liliana Heretical Healer and her half Planeswalker side, Liliana Defiant Necromancer. See, I told you we'd get back to that. And last but certainly not least, Lazotep Behemoth, because I am but a mortal man, and I cannot resist the call of the big blue zombie potamus from beyond the stars. Look, I opened a foil copy years ago, and I've been dying to find a deck to put it in, and this is its time to shine. Leave me alone. Our artifacts keep things nice and simple, as they are all sources of mana ramp. In addition to the earlier mentioned Crypt, we have Arcane Signet, Charcoal Diamond, Heraldic Banner, and Soul Ring. Being in black, we also have access to all manner of fun removal to keep our opponent's defenses low. For this deck, I chose Defenestrate, Go for the Throat, Price of Fame, Victim of Night, and Feed the Swarm for single target removal. While technically not the same as those, we do also have the enchantment Call to the Grave as a source of removal, as it takes a non-zombie away from each player on their upkeep. Sure, it sacrifices itself if there's no creatures out, but chances are we'll always have something sticking around that will either not be touched by, or will be happily gobbled up by the enchantment. Our final spells before moving on to the mana base are Costly Plunder for some instant speed card draw as well as means of sacrificing a creature, Forever Young to restock our library with already dead zombies for another go around, and Dreadhorde Invasion for a constant supply of tokens or as a means of building up one big token. Moving on to the lands, normally I like to keep my mana bases for monocolored decks fairly simple, but in this case I'm straying a little bit outside of that to make use of the Scourge of Standard and the Heart of Golos decks, RIP big guy, Field of the Dead. It taps for colorless and enters tapped, but if we have 7 or more lands with different names whenever a land enters the battlefield, it makes a free 2/2 zombie. For this reason, we have Command Tower, Exotic Orchard, Path of Ancestry, Mortuary Mire, and Bachuka Bog, all as colored sources of mana that add to our different name count. Terramorphic Expanse, Myriad Landscape, and Evolving Wilds are all also here, hopefully helping us trigger field multiple times. Unclaimed Territory is a colorless source that can tap for a colored mana if we cast creature spells of a chosen type, while Cavern of Souls acts similarly, though it comes with the added benefit of making those creature spells uncounterable. Temple of the False God is a card that I know many think of as a trap, but hey, 2 mana on an enters untapped land mid to late game with a unique name seems fine to me. And finally, we finish with 24 basic swamps, allowing for easy customization if you want to add more cards that have unique names. And there we go! With lots of room for experimentation and customization, zombies are a tried and true tribe for all levels of gameplay. I hope you enjoyed my build on Ebondeath Dracolich, and please be sure to leave me your favorite zombies down in the comment section below. Be sure to leave us a like, toss us a sub, and we'll catch you guys next time. Peace!